title contender or anyone who makes any sort of playoff run. Period. Teddy needs to get better. That's the number one player problem on our entire Vikings squad. The other issue would be Blair Walsh's consistency. Now, we lost 23-20. Blair Walsh missed a field goal, a 38-yard field goal early on in the first quarter. However, AP talked to him, gave him a great pep speech on the sideline immediately following that, and then Walsh made the remaining 4 of his kicks, 2 field goals and 2 extra points throughout the day, and they looked good for the most part as well too. So there's your Blair Walsh update. Hopefully it's just a mental thing. Mental things can be fixed. Well, no, physical things are easier to fix if they're not injured. I don't know. Hopefully he gets it figured out. That's what we hope. All right. Let's see. Moving on. AP, 2 exceptional plays, only 1 bad play, and that was early on in the game. He was not the reason for that sack fumble at the end of the game that the drive stalled on. That was 100% Teddy Bridgewater holding the ball too long, not moving in the pocket, not recognizing the frickin' rush. It came face side. You can see it coming. They're coming at your face. Okay? It wasn't TJ Clemmings whiffing or missing his guy. That was 100% on Teddy Bridgewater. 100% on Teddy Bridgewater. The only way you could say that's not 100% on Teddy Bridgewater is if you give some of it to Norv Turner for calling the play in the formation and the setup and everything the way it was. But so no, AP overall played well. And his pass blocking was not. I think the one minus that I got from him was early on in the game. It was a first quarter or first half play where he whiffed on a pass block. That was it. Other than that, the entire game he pass blocked adequately. Your 2 gems offensively were Mike Wallace and Stephon Diggs, both jumping off of the frickin' film charts here for our wide receiver core. Look for Diggs to become more of a full-time guy after the bye week. Kyle Rudolph, not a good game, fairly irrelevant. 2 minuses, no pluses. Rhett Ellison, a rare, horrible game for Rhett Ellison. 4 minuses and 1 plus for Rhett Ellison. That's not what he's been giving us, and we need more from him. Also, Adam Thielen, a minus and a plus. Patterson with a plus. Pruitt, line, irrelevant. McKinnon and Asiata each picked up a plus on a pass block, I believe. And now we get to the O-line before our defensive breakdown. On the offensive line, the left side by far played the worst. Matt Khalil, 3 minuses and a penalty. So 4 minuses basically, no pluses. Fusco, 2 minuses, and that was being generous, and 1 plus. Berger, 3 minuses and a plus. By far the best offensive lineman last game, the guy I've been ripping on all year, Harris, right guard. Not a single minus anywhere. And then TJ had 2 minuses to his credit as well. So overall, the only offensive lineman that I had playing good, putting in a good game overall, was the right guard Harris. Everybody else did not play very well. However, Khalil and Fusco and Berger, but mostly Khalil and Fusco, struggled the biggest and most consistently when I watched every single playback. And I am a former offensive lineman. I understand this stuff way better than Paul Allen, obviously, and 99% of anyone else that you're going to hear talking about it. So you can trust my word at it. Now let's get to the defense and get to other football. This will wrap up our Vikings talk, by the way. Vikings 2-2 heading into their bye week this week. We do have a big trade to discuss. I'll only rant about it just a little bit, but I will have to rant about it. But so anyway, the defensive side of the film, Linval Joseph, finally earning the praise on film, in my opinion, leaping off the film and being by far the best of the 4 defensive linemen. He's been getting the most praise. All the film I've watched, the first 3 weeks, Sharif Floyd, Everson Griffin, and B-Rob were all better than Linval Joseph collectively. At least for a game, Not overall, but at least for one game, at least, those guys were all better than Linval Joseph. Yet he's been getting all the glory. However, he by far had the best game on the front four for the Vikings. 3 pluses, no minuses of a rating for me. Sharif Floyd, 1 penalty. Other than that, not as impactful as he's been this whole season. He was my defensive tackle of the year so far for the Vikes. Johnson, sub-defensive tackle, 1 minus, little less of a game, a little less production than he's did this year. B-Rob, irrelevant. Everson Griffin with a rough game, 2 penalties, and 1 really awesome play. Crichton, irrelevant. Tretow, irrelevant. So there you go. I mean, your D-line, which I felt unbiasedly, as well as biasedly, was the biggest mismatch in this entire game, was the Vikings' defensive line versus the Broncos' offensive line. We didn't win that matchup. At least we didn't win it enough. We didn't own it. We didn't dominate it. We didn't control it the way we should have and needed to win that game. So kudos to the Broncos' coaching staff and their game plan, as well as their offensive line for executing and their quarterback for executing, reading, getting the ball out of his hands, moving in the pocket, all that good stuff that good quarterbacks do. Then moving to the linebacking core, oh boy, we got Gerald Hodges and Anthony Barr. Anthony Barr, 1 plus, no minuses. Gerald Hodges, 1 plus, no minuses. Rookie linebacker Kendricks, 2 minuses. Chad Greenway, veteran, 2 minuses. Audie Cole, game costing. If you want to blame anything on one person or one play, you blame it on Audie freaking Cole. The final touchdown that the Denver Broncos scored in last week's game was on a 4th and 1. 4th and goal from the 1. Audie Cole had outside contain on the top side of your screen. Be his right, offense's left. One guy came out to that side. Audie Cole didn't even acknowledge him. He completely lost him. He went over and decided to commit a penalty on the guy that Chad Greenway was covering. Beautifully. Just blanketing him. Not open at all. He runs over and holds him. Leaves Owen Daniels completely uncovered. I could have threw him the touchdown pass. Completely unacceptable. Your top priority, when you're the only guy on your side, is outside contain. If you're the outside linebacker or the defensive back who is farthest on that side, that's always, no matter the play call, that's your number one job, outside contain. It wasn't that great of a play fake. You know, it wasn't like it was a killer run fake or play action or anything like that. Even if it was, he wasn't a guy that was anywhere in position to make a play on it. So just completely stupid, unacceptable. That, like I said, if you're going to blame it on one play, that's the play you blame it on. That's the person you blame it on. Audie Cole giving up that second Denver Bronco touchdown. Man, that was a rough one. That was a really rough one. And then, like I said, Gerald Hodges, one of 2 Vikings linebackers to actually play a completely solid, no-minus game all across the tape. He's been our most consistent, second-best linebacker on the team. He is a personal, close friend of a family member of mine. That is no lie. So you can imagine the multitude of dismay that I had and felt yesterday when I heard the news that the Minnesota Vikings decided to trade starting middle linebacker and optional starting outside linebacker Gerald Hodges, who is finally starting to come into his own, play great, is a starting offensive linebacker on our team, is a starting linebacker on our team right now this year. Our defense that is great and the strength of our team. We decided to trade him for a backup center. We traded him to the San Francisco 49ers for a backup center and a 6th round draft pick. A 6th round draft pick does not help us at all this year. A backup center, we're already playing our backup center. We kept an additional backup center in our preseason cuts when we made final cuts. And we have our Pro Bowl starting center on the designated to return list, which is just 4 games away. Why the did we trade a key starting piece of our defensive linebacking core to someone for a fourth center and a 6th-round draft pick? This trade reeks of already looking to next year and rebuild, unless the John Sullivan situation is much more dire than we thought, and there's something serious there where he is not going to return. That combined with the guy we kept, the backup that we kept, our third stringer, who's now our second stringer, Curran is his name. If we don't think he can play at all, and if we don't think Sullivan's coming back, if there's something more serious, then I can see acquiring this backup center for depth. Not to replace anyone who's playing right now. This should not change the starting 5 of our offensive line anytime soon. TJ Clemmings needs to stay at starting right tackle. The only person who could be replaced is Harris at right guard, but he is actually quite possibly our best run-blocking offensive lineman, period. And I saw him get considerably better in the pass-blocking game this last week. So he hasn't done anything to lose his job yet. Berger is good. Berger has done good. He had a rough game this week, but he also was the reason that AP's run was a touchdown and not just a first down. AP's big fourth and 1 or whatever touchdown from midfield that he got at about the midway point of the game, that was all Joe Berger. That was all Joe Berger. Berger and Fusco and Khalil had it a first down. Berger turned their threes contributions from a big first down into an easy touchdown. So Berger doesn't need to go anywhere. And then Fusco and Khalil are locked in. And we still got depth. We still got other guys yet. Like I said, Sullivan's supposed to come back unless they're not telling us something. We got this Searles guy. Where is David Yankee? To my knowledge, we've still got him, and I kind of like him. But so yeah, I can't emphasize how this is. This is Rick Spielman. You are in the Balls Deep Stum Hall of Fame. You're joining some infamous elite company. But this is one of the stummest things I've ever seen you do, or the Vikings organization do. Especially mid-season in a season where you're a really good team that could contend and make some noise. You just got to fix a few things here and there, but they're all fixable things. Couldn't be more against it. You watch now. You watch, okay? First 4 weeks, you're one of the best defenses. Coming after the bye week here this next week, when we start back up against Kansas City, moving forward throughout the rest of the season, we're going to be an 8-8 team. Our defense is going to get worse, and our offense is not going to get better. We just committed to making our defense worse without any reason to believe that it will make our offense better. So there's my take on the Gerald Hodges trade. It's awful. It's inexcusable. It's nonsensical. I'm so against it, and I hope something happens where somebody fails a physical or a drug test or something, and the league has to nullify it. Because Hodges was a great contributor for our team, and it couldn't be more wrong of a move. Best wishes to my man G Hodge. But then closing out the film, or recap and moving on, I was past my Minnesota Vikings. Secondary, Rhodes had a real tough game, 3 or 4 penalties. 2 of them were total BS, though. So don't just look at that penalty number and go, oh, yeah, it's a bad game. Yeah, they're judgment calls, okay, for one thing. Go back and watch the judgment and judge the judgment for yourself. You will see that at least 2 of the penalties called on Xavier Rhodes against the Broncos were total BS, not penalties at all. But he did have 2 phenomenal plays. No actual minuses anywhere, just penalties to go along with his pluses. Trey Waynes, again, in what little he was on the field, 2 pluses. No